If you can't say no, then you are not in control of your life. And the uncomfortable truth is that most people never even stop long enough to realize it. Every time you say yes when you actually want to say no, you are quietly handing over your time, your energy, and a piece of who you are. You agree to extra work you never truly wanted, accept invitations that leave you drained, and accommodate people who never learned to respect your boundaries, all while convincing yourself that it's the right thing to do. It rarely feels dramatic in the moment. In fact, it often feels responsible, polite, even admirable. But that is precisely what makes it dangerous. This pattern operates in the background, slow, invisible, and persistent, until one day you realize your life no longer reflects your own choices, but a series of unconscious agreements you never fully examined. Many people assume the problem lies in confidence or communication. But from a Stoic perspective, that explanation misses the point entirely. The deeper issue is that you've gradually lost control over your ability to choose. As Epictetus taught, some things are in our control and others are not. And when your responses are shaped by fear, the need for approval, or unexamined habits, then you may not be fully choosing, you're often reacting. In this sense, the inability to say no is not a personality flaw, but a loss of internal authority, a quiet surrender of control that happens one decision at a time. In what follows, we'll explore 7 hidden habits that undermine your ability to say no, along with practical Stoic actions that allow you to reclaim that control and begin acting with intention again. By the end, you may begin to see that saying no is not an act of rejection, but an act of self-respect. The first habit is the reflex of the instant yes. The tendency to agree before thought has a chance to intervene. Someone asks for your time or energy, and you respond immediately, almost automatically, without pausing to consider whether it aligns with your priorities. This reaction often feels like politeness, but in reality, it is conditioning an ingrained pattern that bypasses the very space where choice exists. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that between any external request and your response, there is a moment where reason can step in, and that moment is where your freedom lives. When you eliminate that pause, you also eliminate your control. Reclaiming it begins with something deceptively simple. The next time you are asked for something, allow yourself a brief pause, just a few seconds, to think before you respond. That small interruption is enough to break the automatic cycle and reintroduce conscious choice into the process. The second habit is the fear of disapproval, a subtle but powerful force that drives many of your decisions. Often, you say yes, not because you want to, but because you fear the consequences of saying no, being judged, rejected, or seen differently. Yet, as Seneca observed, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The fear you experience is rarely rooted in what will actually happen. It is rooted in the narrative you construct in your own mind. When you take a moment to examine that narrative and ask yourself what the worst realistic outcome truly is, you often find that it is far less severe than you initially believed. By naming that fear clearly, you reduce its power and create space for a more grounded, rational response. The third habit is the illusion of obligation, the belief that you owe others your time, your attention, and your energy, regardless of the cost to yourself. This belief is rarely questioned, yet it quietly dictates many of your decisions, convincing you that setting boundaries is selfish. Stoicism challenges this assumption by drawing a clear distinction between what is yours to control and what is not. Your choices are yours. Other people's expectations are not. You can care for others without sacrificing your autonomy, and you can be supportive without abandoning your own priorities. A simple shift in language can help reinforce this understanding. Instead of saying, "I have to," begin saying, "I choose to," or "I choose not to." This reframing may seem minor, but it restores a sense of ownership over your actions and reminds you that you are always deciding, even when it doesn't feel that way. The fourth habit is the guilt that follows when you finally do say no. Even after making a decision that aligns with your needs, you may feel an immediate sense of discomfort, as though you've done something wrong. That feeling often tempts you to backtrack, to over-apologize, or to reverse your decision entirely. But guilt is not always a reliable indicator of wrongdoing. More often, it signals that you are stepping outside of familiar patterns. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, doing what is right does not depend on external approval. The goal is not to eliminate guilt, but to tolerate it, to allow it to exist without letting it dictate your behavior. In doing so, you strengthen your ability to act according to reason rather than emotion. If at this point you recognize yourself in these patterns, that recognition matters, because awareness is the first step toward change and the foundation of any meaningful shift in behavior. The fifth habit is over-explaining your refusal. The impulse to justify your no with lengthy reasoning in the hope that it will be accepted or approved. You may explain your schedule, your responsibilities, or your emotional state, believing that without such explanations, your decision will seem unreasonable. But this tendency often reveals a deeper issue, a lack of trust in your own authority to decide. Stoicism teaches that your judgment, when guided by reason, is sufficient in itself. You do not need permission to set boundaries. A more grounded approach is to offer a clear and simple response, something as straightforward as, "Thanks, but I can't," and to resist the urge to elaborate unnecessarily. In that simplicity, there is strength. The sixth habit is the confusion between kindness and self-sacrifice. The belief that being a good person requires constant availability and agreement. While this may appear virtuous on the surface, it often leads to exhaustion and, eventually, resentment. Over time, that resentment can erode relationships far more than honest boundaries ever could. True kindness is not about saying yes at all costs. It is about acting with honesty, respect, and awareness of your own limits. Before agreeing to something, it is worth asking yourself whether you are likely to resent the decision later. If the answer is yes, then declining is not an act of selfishness, but an act of responsibility toward both yourself and the relationship. The seventh habit is the avoidance of discomfort, the tendency to evade situations that feel awkward, tense, or uncertain. Saying no can create exactly that kind of discomfort, which is why many people avoid it altogether. But that avoidance comes at a cost, and that cost is your freedom. The Stoics viewed discomfort not as something to escape, but as something to engage with deliberately, because it is through facing discomfort that resilience is built. By practicing small acts of refusal in low-stakes situations, you gradually strengthen your ability to tolerate that discomfort and to act in alignment with your values. It does not require dramatic change. It begins with a single decision, a single no made consciously. This is not a distant or abstract struggle. It is one that many people experience personally. There was a time when saying yes felt like the safest option, a way to maintain harmony and avoid conflict, a way to be accepted. But over time, that pattern often leads to exhaustion, frustration, and a growing sense of disconnection from one's own priorities. The shift away from that pattern rarely happens all at once. Instead, it emerges gradually, through moments of awareness, small pauses, and deliberate choices to respond differently. If you want to apply these ideas in your own life, it helps to approach them as a simple progression rather than an overwhelming transformation. In the beginning, focus on awareness. Notice when you are about to respond automatically and allow yourself a brief pause. From there, begin practicing small refusals in situations where the stakes are low, building confidence through repetition. As you become more comfortable, work on simplifying your responses and standing by your decisions without unnecessary explanation. This process is not about becoming distant or indifferent. It is about becoming clear, intentional, and grounded in your own judgment. And if you are ready to take that step, even in a small way, make a quiet commitment to yourself, not as a performance for others, but as a personal decision to change how you respond going forward in the end. Every yes you give shapes the direction of your life, and every no you choose protects it. Control is not something you lose in a single moment. It is something you give away gradually, through small, unexamined decisions. But in the same way, it is something you can take back, one conscious choice at a time, until your life once again begins to reflect what you truly value.